Welcome back to TMZ Live. It is the unfortunate fallout from the tragedy of Las Vegas. And we knew that there were going to be other music festivals, obviously, outdoor music festivals. And there's a huge one this weekend in Texas. Austin City Limit. Playing at that show, a huge lineup, but Killer Mike, who we've had on the show several times, love Killer Mike, but he's going to be playing there.
Along with Jay-Z, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chance the Rapper, Ice Cube, lots of people.
Yeah, lots of people. So we talked to Killer Mike about, what is the feeling? What is the feeling amongst the performers?
Are they scared?
And organizers?
Are they scared, and how do they feel if people decide, look, I got to stay away?
I hate that this wave of terror, has been thrown out on concert goers. But with that said, I have a job, and my job is to make people happy, sing and dance, and that's what I'm going to go do.
Is it going to make you nervous?
Absolutely. As a dad and a husband, you're damn right it does.
So it's in your head about what happened when you get on stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, but you have to realize you're here to help people smile and enjoy. So you can't spend too much time in your own head.
What I like about this talk with Killer Mike was that, it's easy to say, no, I'm not thinking about it. No, but people do think about it, and he's being very honest about that. And there are other people who are facing the same thing right now all around the country. I spoke to somebody who runs a number of these venues 2 nights ago, and he was saying, look, everybody's worried. They're trying to figure out, how do you protect the venues? How do you protect the people? And it's a challenge. So
it's a challenge for the organizers, a challenge for the fans, it's a challenge for promoters and the artists like Killer Mike. And another artist who plays a lot of these festivals has played at Lollapalooza, Waka Flocka Flame, and he is joining us right now because we want to talk to him. He's got actually going to be playing a big show later this month, and he's got some new music out. But with this new concert he's going to be doing, we're wondering how he felt, and he's joining us right now. Waka, welcome to TMZ Live, man.
How y'all feeling? What's up, man?
Yeah, we're feeling uneasy, to be honest with you. How do you feel about performing at an open-air venue?
I feel amazed. I feel great. I feel like it's another event where we will have fun, sweat, party, have a good time, escape reality, because reality right now is just scaring everybody. So we just want to be at an event where we can have fun, let loose, and let go.
Well, if I may, what you said is it's so important, because people go to music festivals in many ways to escape reality, yet the reality has come to the festivals now.
The escape is where the terror happened.
Right.
But that's not reality. Let me correct y'all. The terror in festivals is not reality. That is something that happened that was pure evil. It's wrong, and I feel bad for it. But that's not the reality of festivals. That's an event that took place that some evil individuals did. We don't know who. We can't wait to find out, but that's not the reality of festivals, man. Festivals filled with a lot of love and a lot of energy, and it's just, that's the festival.
Let me ask you something. There are other people like Stephen Paddock out there, sadly. I mean, everybody knows that. And given that, what do you say to people who are saying, do I go to festivals? Do I do this stuff? I understand people say, if you don't go, they win. I get that. But what do you say to these people who are just scared because of the reality that there are a bunch of Stephen Paddocks out there?
Man, that's tough. It's tough, man. I don't even have an answer to a question like that, because that's something an individual have to deal with themselves. And to me, I just use a thing called law of attraction. If I attract fear, if I worry about bad things, and if I keep being worried about things that's going to happen to me, then I might attract those things that happen to me. I think if we got a crowd of people with the love and the excitement, and the venue is aware, and we're aware, and the performers are aware, I think it'd be best for all of us to just be aware, not to have a fear for something. Having fear is strong. I think that we shouldn't live in fear. We should live in harmony, love, like in real life, and not just saying that TMZ.
So Waka, that's your game plan heading into. I know you're playing at the end of the month. You're gonna be playing a festival in the Midwest, in Kalamazoo, and then also in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's my approach. So it's law of attraction, man. I'm just attracting love, peace. I'm just attracting good energy.
We're going to end on a high note. You just dropped some music. Big Dog, Circles, and what was the last one?
Big Dog, Circles.
Let Harvey say it.
No, let Charles say it.
No, Harvey,
why do I need to say this?
Because you were talking about it before. You're like, that sounds like a song.
You're going to take it out of context.
It sounds like a song that you would be into.
Trap my ass off.
Yeah.
So Trap My Ass Off is basically like y'all, man. Y'all on TMZ, y'all got great interviews. Y'all always keep the the people alerted. Trap my ass off could be a metaphor. It's hustle, it's grind, it's wake up, it's ambition, it's drive, it's everything. It's
I like
integrity.
it.
See, I told you, Harvey.
I like it.
That's why he liked that one.
Waka,
right?
you are great. You are always great.
And I love your approach, man.
Yep.
It's bring some positive energy. If you bring it, then everyone around hopefully will do the same.
Yeah, man. Got circles out. Trap my ass off. I'm dropping an album literally beginning of the year. I'm just approaching the end of my year and beginning of my year with straight, good, great energy. No matter what happens, man. I just do not want nobody, and I don't want myself and my family to live in fear. That is a stage that, man, that is not healthy, man. That ain't healthy for none of us.
Okay,
right.
Waka.
All right,
hey, thanks
Waka.
for the time, man. Make sure to subscribe to TMZ Live to keep up to date on the latest entertainment news.
And if you want to keep watching, click on one of these videos right now.